The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Rodney Holder here, or good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. I'm not sure where everybody is, but we've got a few people with us tonight. It is my very, very great pleasure to introduce a friend of mine whose name is Steve Palfreman. And Steve runs the musiclaunchhub.com. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have not been to musiclaunchhub.com yet and you're a musician or you're a manager or you're an agent or you're anything to do with the music industry, you really need to go and check it out. It's a wonderful free service and it's a fantastic Facebook community. So Steve's going to give us this fantastic lecture. I'm going to shut up. I'd like to welcome you all. Actually, before I shut up, I need to do this just quickly. I'd like to say hello to everybody. So I'd like to say g'day to Chelsea. Nice to see you here, Chelsea. And to Dylan, a couple of my students here. This is fantastic. Hello, Eugene. Hello to GZ. Hello, Hannah. How are you, Sarge? Haley and Josh and Katie. G'day, Katie. And Marcos and Rosemary and Sam and Sean and TC. So just want to make sure, guys, you can give me the virtual high five that you can both see the screen and hear the presentation. Excellent. Thanks, Chelsea. Thanks, Dylan. Chelsea's given me multiple high fives. So again, I'm going to shut up, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Mr. Steve Palfreman from musiclaunchhub.com. Steve, how are you tonight, mate?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for a lovely introduction. As always, great to be here, and congratulations on opening day of the summit.
Thank you very much, mate. You're a big inspiration myself. For those of you who don't know, Steve ran the world's largest music industry summit last year. So, Steve, I'm watching what you do in awe and trying to replicate at least a part of what you did. So that was very, very impressive. So I'll be interested to see if you do another one. Are you going to do another one? Can you give us a scoop? Or?
The scoop is there is going to be another one later in the year.
Fantastic.
Anybody here? I haven't announced a single thing yet, but I'll probably suggest that it might be some month that starts with an O. Is what's on the table.
It's going to be all over Google tomorrow, I tell you.
But yeah, that's it. I'm actually learning from you though, because I love that you do live stuff, and I also think I've actually said this. There's a lesson that I want to give before we even dive into today, and it's on simplification. And I just think the line that you've got here that covers all the points that something needs to cover. Last year I covered so. I mean, I burnt out from the whole process of getting 50 plus guests, and I didn't need to do that much. I really didn't, to get the sort of, to give the sort of impact that, or the lessons that we need to give. I didn't need to go that far. So straight up, I'm watching what you're doing, going, I love that it's live. I love that you cover all angles, and it's in exactly the right amount of space for people, I think, to consume. So hopefully this is a good addition and a fun addition for everyone today.
Well, thanks so much for Steve. You read that almost word for word, what I told you to say, and the check's in the mail, buddy. Good on you.
That's it. And yeah, today is 100% scripted. No, zero scripts, all off cuff. And we probably better get cracking, because what I'm about to share with you here, something I haven't actually shared in this level of detail before. And in fact, it is the biggest pieces out of a course that I've been putting together on a lot of work that I've been doing about creating digital tribes. And I'll explain a lot more about what that is in a moment. But I want you guys to know that you're about to experience something that I haven't seen done before, or explained in this level of detail and anywhere on the interwebs. And I follow a lot of trainings in different industries online. I haven't seen something like this taught like this. So you're in for a real treat today. This is the 5-Step Fan community. I am about to introduce myself in a moment, but before we dive in, I just want to set a couple of little house rules so that we know. Now, because I'm sharing my screen, I unfortunately can't see what you guys are chatting about or anything like that, but do know that I'm super keen to get to know you and have a chat at the end of this. So if you hang out and you have questions, once we get to the end, I'm here for you. I'll stay as long as you want, or as long as we can keep Rodney up. That's the first little bit. Second little bit, the aim that I have for you by the end of this is to have an idea about a type of centerpiece that you can create for yourself and your music career, whether be it this is relevant for industry professionals. I don't think the new music business is making enough attention to what's happening online at the moment. And this is also especially for artists, because I think artists are missing out on a big opportunity to build more deeply connected tribes of fans. And so by the end of this, I hope you see a pathway. And while I'm specifically talking about Facebook groups here today, know that what I'm talking about can be applied to playing live shows, to creating community and tribes around shows. You could apply this to different social media strategies. This can be taken and used in different places. And in fact, a lot of what I'm going to teach you has been taken from places that aren't just Facebook groups. So that's the important piece of the puzzle. If you have questions, throw them down in the box and we'll come back to them at the end. So this here, why you're here today, this is about making your career tick. And when I say tick, I really want you to think about the difference between where your career is at the moment and where you want it to be at. And now, the reason I use the word tick is I actually would really want that idea of like a ticking clock for you to be thinking about that. The reason being, and you'll learn more about me in a sec, but as an artist, I totally get that we spend a lot of time shooting for big goals, or we want that next big bit of industry buzz to make the change in our career. But we miss the fact that the artists that are winning, and this is only going to become more and more apparent as there's less dollars to go around in the industry, we have to make things work for ourselves. Making your career tick is about making steady decisions that help you grow your audience and then make bank. And so I really want you to be thinking about this is not about how to launch your career and be a world star in 2 days. This is about how to get some motion going so you can finally start getting people paying attention to your music, and then turning that into income, turning that into paying fans so that you can keep sustaining it and keep creating. Now, there's a couple of ethos, two little pieces of ethos that I want us to be thinking about just in terms of community. And this is why I'm talking about this and why I think it's so important and underutilized by us independent musos. Now, I want you to actually write this down, or if you're brave enough and not surrounded by your family at the moment, you could say it to your family. You could say, hey, everybody, shut up. I've got something to say. My community is my lifeblood. My community is my lifeblood. Now, it may not be look, water and food is probably your core lifeblood because it's your ability to live. But short of that, I literally feel like the people that are in my community, in the Music Launch Hub, is the lifeblood for me being able to be here for you guys. I'm so privileged to be here tonight sharing these lessons. Without a community that wants what we create, we are nothing. We can't be an artist if we create. I mean, you can be an artist, you can be a hobby artist, but I don't think any of you guys are showing up here because you're a hobby artist. You're here because you're an artist and you want to make a real impact on other people's lives. And so for that to happen, we need that transaction. But the transaction that we're looking for a lot of the time is the wrong one at the beginning. And we're going to talk a lot about attention today. And what I want you to just take away from this, my community is my lifeblood, is that the attention and the care of the people that are interested in what you create, that's what will separate you from every other artist coming through the ranks. This is the same whether you want to stay 100% independent and grow your own team, a la Chance the Rapper, or if you want to get to a stage where you're maybe signing specific deals and using that as leverage but not as the tipping point for your career, then your community is what will fuel either of those pathways, and they are your two options now, realistically, unless you want to swing around hoping to hell that a label is going to come and pick you and destroy your career. I shouldn't be too rude to labels. Some of them are brilliant. So any artist, musician, any budding industry pro, anyone who wants to have a career that lasts through this disrupted world we're just at the beginning of the digital disruption. That's why I want to share with you some of these insights into why, like, on face value, talking about Facebook groups pretty dull. I'm just using that as a tool to talk about the types of digital disruption that's happening and how you can capitalize on it before it's like ruined. I don't know if it'll get ruined. We'll find out. So your community is your permission to create. I want you to really take that home. In fact, if you take nothing else, wrap up now, just take this. Your community is your permission to create. Now, number two, yeah, please.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. I'm curious, Steve, where you think the disruption's headed. Do you have any, of your own theories or research that you've done? Where do you see it happening in the next, say, 5, 10, 20 years? Any ideas? I mean, I know that's a big ask, but
it's a broad question. The thing that is a definite in my mind is that because, and we're already sort of seeing this, because everybody is kind of figuring out how to use the internet. It's still a baby, and there's more and more channels popping up, left, right, and center. We've lost a lot of the human element. We've lost a lot of that like human connection. But we started craving that in social media when we realized that could be a thing. And so we've so far lived through this kind of weird period of, oh, I can send email through, and keep in mind, guys, I'm 29, so like I kind of missed a lot of the early stuff around the internet. Although I do remember my dad's dial-up internet connection in the very early days, him turning it on, and 5 minutes later something would fire up. That wasn't that long ago. And so where things are going now, because things are scaling so fast, we're losing a lot of humanity. When I sort of say that, like the core things that us as humans crave, connection, community, we want to be heard. In fact, I'm very conscious of the fact right now that I'm sure everybody watching would have a far better time if each individually they could say, hey, this is what I'm working on right now. And you guys could pipe up and talk to me, and then that would be dynamite, because we could workshop in real time exactly what you're doing. Not quite practical for the purpose of this. And so I know you want to be heard. I know you want others to listen to your music, but you're having trouble building those connections with people, whether it's a fan or someone in the industry. And so the thing that will stay the same is that the little things like curation, curated experiences will always be important, and stuff that's very human. We're going to talk a lot more about it, but things are going to grow. We're not going back. Things are going to get more automated. At the end of all of the stuff that the digital world can replace, the one thing that can't be replaced is that human element, which is why I really want to talk about community being vital, and sort of also why I say what we're talking about here today can transfer off into you guys putting on shows and bringing, and keep in mind, a lot of the stuff I'm going to give you is how I've used to pull in audiences into shows. So
awesome.
That sort of answers the question. Could do a whole topic on that.
Yeah, totally.
So ethos number 2, and I want to actually get you guys thinking right now, and maybe even pop in the comments what you think the answer to this is, and be thinking about it during the talk as well. I'm curious, what do you think is the number one reason why some communities thrive and others lay dormant? Now, I'm specifically thinking about Facebook groups here, but this could be any number of different things. This could be communities, for example, like I said before, in communities of artists playing physical shows could be a thing. But I'm largely thinking about groups just because it's a really nice example. Now, I know personally I'm in a lot of Facebook groups. Some are quiet, some are just like dead zones. There's nothing happening in there. There's just 10 new artists every day going, check out my friggin' track, and everybody's just tuning out. Have a think about it. It's about the value, but it's something else as well. There is a reason why there's groups out there that are hugely successful, have tens of thousands of people in them, and they function, and people are showing up daily, helping and supporting each other. Mine is but a baby in the grand scheme of what a group can be. And by the way, guys, if you want to hop in, you're most welcome. If you just go to musiclaunchup.com, you can actually check out the group. You can join for free. I'll tell you more about that later.
I recommend
you can actually see what it's all about. Now, the answer to this is probably not what you think, but I'm going to come back. This is actually step number 5 today. is the key thing. And so we're going to come back to it. I want you to have a think about it as I'm talking and see if you can pick what that is. If somebody guesses it, in fact, pop your guess down on the right-hand side. Say, my guess to ethos number 2 is, and I'll tell you what, if somebody guesses it, I'll give you a free one-on-one coaching session. You'll know soon why you want that. You definitely want it.
There you go, guys.
Let's move on. Get those answers in. That's hundreds of dollars on the table and thrown out there. So I'm Steve, as Rodney mentioned. I'm a musician as well. I'm a bit of a gear nerd. I actually started off my business. My business journey was started off in Hobart, where I co-created, I guess, sort of a musical instrument shop down there. So a bit of a guitar nut. That shop is now absolutely thriving, dare I say it. But I left. I had other pursuits. So I moved to Melbourne some 8 years ago now. So I'm a musician. I love to talk about marketing and leadership concepts. I think they are particularly important for artists today. I've just bought a Pedal Train Pro case that I need to buy more pedals to fill. So I'm a bit of a I do geek out on guitar gear. If anybody here is a guitarist, I'm all about talking about pedals. And I also love new tech. So I'm fascinated by new little bits of software that allow us to do things differently. And so all of this stuff just kind of came together. And now I did spend a lot of my years, I've been playing in bands for freaking forever. It's a hard journey. So I feel all you band members out there watching. I've worn just about every hat you can wear in the music industry. I've been the talent coordinator for a festival, booking 40 plus acts. I've done publicity. I've managed a stack of artists at one time, 5 at once. So I've done the management side of the thing. I've run digital marketing teams for a different festival, actually. So all about the digital marketing space. And more specifically in the past 5 years, I kind of just started doing my own thing where I do a lot of marketing strategy, digital launches, launch strategy. I do hands-on marketing for artists, and but a lot of it is training and mentorship. And just because I know that most of what you need is to build audience and you need help doing it. And so that's where I'm focusing most of my attention. That's where the Music Launch Hub came from. As you can probably tell by now, I don't believe in doing anything half-heartedly, and any of us that really want a career in music, we cannot think anymore. In fact, that's really the big reason why I'm here, is we cannot expect anymore to get handed anything. There is no guaranteed anything in most industries, especially the music industry. But having said that, if you're willing to put in the work, I 100% believe you can build a career out of it. Some will build enormous careers out of it. Some will build sustainable careers, but I 100% believe that you can build a career if you put in the work and you're ready to do it. So already we're probably running over time. Look at that. We haven't even gotten into the first steps, Rodney.
That's fine by me, man. I'm loving it. So keep going. Keep delivering this value, Steve. I'm loving it.
This is where we get into the process. So I'm going to give you there's 5 core areas of what it takes to build a great digital community. I'm going to give you all 5 piece by piece. Take notes, take screenshots, take this and spend time on each thing, knowing that each of these is going to get turned into a premium course at some point when I've got a bit more time up my sleeve. Knowing that you could spend, and some of this stuff I've spent months and years on. So just know that you should be able to execute on this very quickly, but making it brilliant you won't necessarily come up with it tomorrow. So spend the time on it. Just depends on where you're at with your career. Some of you will be able to do it in a few weeks. So the secret of leadership is simple. I think this is very important for all of us to think about, because we all have to be leaders if we're going to build a career as a musician or an industry pro. Do what you believe in. Paint a picture of the future. Go there. People will follow. Powerful words by Seth Godin, who explains communities probably better than anybody. How humans like to interact with one another. And this is the ultimate fan base, one that is engaging in, one that is following you, one that is paying you attention, one that wants you to create. And there's lots of artists that I guarantee all of us here can name at least one artist where we are literally following that person because they've painted a picture, they're doing what they believe in, they're showing the future, they're going somewhere, and we want to come along board. Artists that you are following are doing this. You can do this for your fan base too. First step, purpose. The most important piece of any Facebook group, any community, but especially a Facebook group. We must know the reason our group exists for others. Now, most of the time you might pop into a Facebook group and you probably see a bunch of people going, hey, here's this song I checked out, I made the other day, post away. And there's no reason for people to be there other than people just thinking, oh, there's a lot of people in here, I better just send my music out. Now, my big problem with groups like that is it's not facilitating any connection. And the people coming in, I actually don't allow any promotions in my group because I know that the people coming in, they feel good because they got to promote their stuff to a bunch of people, but none of those people are watching. And so it is literally the biggest waste of time. Like, you could have 4 billion people in that group and it would still be the biggest waste of time in your day out of absolutely anything, is posting your song in a group like that where people are just promoting. Like, and I know there's a group local to me where I see this happen constantly. You may as well be, I don't know, throwing. I'm not going to go into analogies. You see where I'm going with this. We must be a reason for people to exist in the group. Otherwise, their attention isn't there. This is the really important thing. So that's one first little thing to keep in mind.
Can I jump in?
The second is you have to. Yeah, please.
So I don't interrupt you, but I just wanted to say how I admired the way you really policed that when it first started, because that's one of the things I noticed about your group is that you were really quick to jump on those guys and girls that wanted to use it as a like, yeah, check this out. And I know you told me some funny stories on the podcast when I interviewed about it, but you kind of walked this great line where you were the nice guy, but you kind of got this sense that, yeah, this guy's like, he's treating this really seriously and he's the policeman and there's no way you're going to get away with it. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's a part of your success with your hub as well, because people know that you go there for information, you go there for networking and communicating. You don't go there just to be spammed.
Absolutely. And it's quite funny. A side note on that is there have been people who have just been like, ooh, like I've said, hey, we don't do that here, and here's why. Because my biggest fear is that people will do it thinking that it's okay. And this is not even, it's not okay in my walls. It's like, if you go and do that for the rest of your career, you will not have a career. Mm-hmm. Like, you go up to Big Sound and you go and yell in the after drinks room after everybody's had an amazing Big Sound. You go, hey, everybody, check out the song that I just wrote on the way here. You're done. That's like, people will remember your face and not in a good way. And so this is kind of something that I find very interesting about what's happening in the digital world versus the public world is most people, some people do that stuff. Most people wouldn't dream twice of being that spammy person in real life. And as artists, we're so scared of being it on anywhere. We're especially scared of it on the internet. But then we find things aren't moving how we want them to move, and we get desperate. And what happens when we get desperate? We go, oh, fuck, all these other people are doing this, so maybe I should just do it as well. And we fall into this little trap of going, I'm just going to message some of my friends. I've got to get some people to the show out of pure desperation. It breaks my heart because I know it is damaging your brand. It is damaging everything you're trying to build. And so, in fact, here's an on the side lesson for everybody. If you're the patient one that knows that you're going to capitalize in 10 years from now off one conversation where you didn't spam but everybody else did, and you just sat back and you just gave value, and then 10 years later you asked for something, you're going to get that thing that you asked for. And so know that the long game is a really smart play for you to make. And that's kind of partly what I'm trying to bring in here with the purpose of the group. The biggest piece of the group is, this is why it's important to know who's hanging out, know why they're spending time there. You've got to actually make some decisions. Just keep in mind, this is the same if you're hanging out on Facebook pages, on Twitter. You need to know who's hanging out, why they're spending time there. You need to be able to answer these questions. We must know every corner of what we're building. We must know the purpose behind it, the concept, the reason why somebody's going to be there. We need to, as Seth Godin would say, we need to show a future for somebody. We need to show a reason for them to be there. Maybe an activity they can engage in or an experience that they can connect with. As an example, just quickly, what this might look like a little bit, if you as an artist said, hey, here's my private Facebook group where I deliver weekly shows, and behind the scenes footage on my journey to becoming an artist of blah, and you talk about the future that you're paving for yourself. This would be a very emerging artist. And you might invite people in there as a, hey, do you want to come into my group? I share stuff that I don't share anywhere else. I perform weekly, and you just do Facebook Lives in there. And you might also craft some other content thinking about what people who want to see your journey would also be interested in. Maybe there's some other artists around your similar age and similar experience, and you want to go, hey, here, I just wrote a little blog article that I'm not publishing anywhere except for in here, and it's how I started. You might go and share how you started your group, so you might go and help some of those other people in there, for example. But the thing that's important is choosing what these things are. It's not, I can't come up with the purpose for you. I can't come up with your concept. Just like if you said, hey, Steve, here are my tracks. What do you think? Could I turn this into a concept piece? How do I find the story in this? I can't find your story. Only you can find your story. And so asking these questions, finding this sort of stuff, finding where your story is the most important thing probably of your entire career, I think. No hyperbole there. Really, really think that. And a little throwback as well, just quickly. Many years, like maybe 12 years ago, me and my old band at the time were waiting for Powderfinger, because I'm from Hobart. Not much happening in Hobart down back then. We were literally waiting for hours at the bar that we heard Powderfinger were going to be at, so we could hand them a CD. That's embarrassing to think about now. Thankfully, it turned out reasonably okay. We got to hang out with them and that sort of thing. We ended up getting a CD in their hands, although in hindsight, it's just like, oh God, how embarrassing. But the thing that the guys said was, send us a story. Had the CD, like, yeah, cool, we'll listen to it, whatever that meant. But a couple of the guys in the band literally looked at us and said, you need to write us and send us a story. We had no idea what that meant. Zero. We were like, a story about what? What? We just, what do I write you? What? And so, but the thing, like years later, we look back and we're like, we were a young band. We just started. We had no story. We could create the story. We could find experiences about why we came together, what drew us, what made people want to come to shows. We could have told any story, or any of it would have made a strong connection with those guys. Who knows what it might have done. But the point is, without that, nobody can tell us what our story is. You have to decide it. How to win on this purpose part. You must explore why you do what you do. Write these down, and this is stuff to explore in your own time. Keep in mind, this is super powerful stuff that will change the course of your career, if not overnight, over a slow tick, tick, tick basis. Explore why you do what you do. Decide who's in and who's out. You need to decide who's coming, who you want in the group, who you don't want in the group. I'm all about positive folks coming in, or at least people who are happy to have an open mind, who want to learn about digital marketing, launching, entrepreneurship, and how they can infuse that into their music careers. I'm all about having people in who want to help each other, or who aren't in it for themselves. That's what, and I'm totally, what I don't want is people who are bringing, I mean, I'm happy for some naysayers to come in, but I'll swoop on them pretty fast if I see them naysaying stuff that could bring down the tone in the group. Not that it's like, oh, everything's happy and lovey just for the sake of it, but we will win if we're all playing offense. And so I know very clearly the types of people that I want in my group and the people that I know won't help. So you must decide that as well. Knowing that traditional marketing demographics are probably all wrong, and that's not what we're looking for. So like age, where they're from, that sort of stuff doesn't matter at all, but their behaviors, interests, the types of people, that's what's really interesting there. and know the motivations on both sides. You must know what motivates you to be building your fan base, and you must know what motivates them to be engaging in your group, to be showing up, because this isn't just a broadcast channel. This is a place where people hang out together. Much more powerful than anything else. Step number 2, connection. This is the second piece of the puzzle that you have to be thinking about. Now, the reason why a Facebook group crushes anything else is because there's 360 connection, 360-degree connection. People can talk with each other. They can form little groups where they'll have private conversations with each other. Everything's out in the open, but it's also a closed space. And so I liken it to maybe a private little house show that you might do for people. You invite like your closest friends around for a performance where everybody's getting along, having a bit of a chat. Facebook groups work because of the connection, but it's also up to you to be able to deliver that. And so most groups don't. And this is why I think a lot of people don't even look twice at starting up a Facebook group, and why the people that do are going to win. Because if you're out there helping other people to talk to each other, to start up a conversation that isn't necessarily directly about you and your music and what you're trying to do, then people are hanging out but with you, which is far more important than them consuming your stuff. Now, knowing that later on they might choose to consume some of what you do, our end goal as artists is to get people to hang out, to give us their attention, to pay attention to others who are supporting our mission, not to just consume. Consuming is the end piece of the puzzle. The beginning piece is them doing human stuff, which isn't just about consumption. This is about having conversations. This is about helping others to be heard. This is about forming friendships. This is about giving people a place to converse, to disagree if they want, to discuss ideas. Knowing that if they're all doing this, your job is actually far easier. And can I tell you, a lot of my energy in this has come up because of how many conversations I've had with artists going, I can't keep up the pace on my social media. How do I post daily? How do I tweet multiple times a day? I don't have enough interesting stuff going on. Now, while a lot of the time it's just that they haven't found all the interesting stuff they can talk about, that's for another discussion. Keep in mind, if you're in a Facebook group, the eyes aren't on you all the time. And so you can actually take a lot of the load off your shoulders by getting other people to just be hanging out. So they're getting value, they're having a good time, they're getting stuff out of this. This is why step 1 is really important. The purpose is important. So people are getting out, they're getting stuff without you even posting anything at times. And that's really important to consider. How to win in this part? You must be giving daily content, and I suggest you structure it like a set list. So either you structure it over a 1, 2, 3, or maximum 4-week period, and you know what you want to be, what you want people to be doing over that time. For me, when you hop in the group, you'll see that I like the start of the week to be about setting some goals, and it's like, hey, come on guys, let's get up and work together. End of the week's always a check-in. It's like, how did you go? Or let's celebrate, or let's look at what actually worked well this week, because a lot of the purpose is, I know that if we're all working together and actively sharing that with each other, it's going to be a more fun process. We're also going to learn a lot from each other. In fact, in essence, if everybody was doing what I was trying to get them to do, I wouldn't even have a paid job anymore. I'm literally trying to put myself out of work by going, come on, if we're all working together, you don't need to pay for help and support everywhere. There we go. Just shared that very openly. I'm always trying to put myself out of work. That's literally how I see this.
But can I say something? But the thing that's going to separate you from, I'm not saying anyone here on this presentation tonight, but from the thing that separates you from most people that I see is your work ethic. You are there day in, day out, 7 days a week. You're backing it up, and in my experience, so many people go, "Shit, that's hard work. I don't know if I could be bothered doing that."
It is. It's crazy hard work. And that's it. And I really just want to set precedent there. and go, if you guys are doing even half of that, you'll be doing more than what most bands are doing. And like, I'm not like, also other thing, like, I work hard, but I'm not like one of these crazy people that just work. I love more than anything, like, well, like, probably my favorite, it's my birthday on the weekend, and all I can think about is going to the pub and drinking too many beers and watching some bands play. Like, that's all I wanted. So like, yes, I work really hard, but I'm not that one of those crazy people that you can't be either. Like, we're literally one and the same person. I'm a muso. I get it. And you've got to spend time in your creativity, and you've got to have fun, but you've also got to put in the work at the other times. And so my aim for you is to just know what some of the smarter things you can do are, so that you can have time. So you can lock yourself away for 3 days and just write music. Like, that's important.
Mm.
Um,
Can I throw another one at you, Steve?
yeah.
I know I've got a couple of my students who are listening tonight who want to get into artist management. I'm curious on your thoughts on if the artist is like, well, I don't really want to do this. I want to concentrate on my songwriting, but someone else being their voice. I'm just wondering if you think that can work, and if that's a good strategy where maybe a manager says to their artist, well, look, I'll run this for you. You tell me what you want to say, and I'll kind of pretend to be your voice and chuck it in there and run it for you. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yes and no. I think absolutely. As a manager, the really important thing is that you make it especially clear to the artist that you're not just doing the stuff that they don't want to do. And I can tell you, as an artist, that's what, and also working with a lot of artists, most artists just want the stuff that they don't want to do taken off their hands, and they don't want to have to worry about that other things. Now, I played that's kind of that angle when I was managing acts, and I literally went, hey, I'll take this stuff off your hands. But what happens is they get lazy. Even if they're a hardworking songwriter, they miss out on a lot of the other stuff that they have to do. You are a team. And so what a manager should be to an artist is someone who can be there at 3 a.m. when the artist is breaking down into tears and like, I can't do this anymore. And you can be there to go, hey, it's all right, I got your back. That's one part of the job. Another part of the job is when they can't come up, they literally don't know what to do next. You're there to go, it's all right, I've got the plan here. But you're not replacing anything. They need to know what they're going for. And so you're part of the job. I would say managers have it especially hard, especially moving into where the world is heading. You have the job of leading yourself, but you have the job of thinking about how your artist is leading their audience, but also how they're going to lead themselves. And so you kind of have to play the role of artist development, and label and counselor all at once, and also glorified admin assistant, unfortunately. So I'll just say, if you're talking to an artist that goes, yeah, I need this done, and we're going to go so far, you need to have a real conversation with them and say, no, let's get real about this. We need to talk about the things that you need to do in order for me to do my job. And you need to also explicitly say, here are things that aren't my job. And let's make this really clear from the start, that I will go and have these conversations that maybe you don't want to have, but you're coming with me because you, even though I'm your manager and I can do some of the selling and I can take care of the business, I can keep you safe, the only person that can really sell themselves is an artist. The artist needs to do it. So you need to actually almost teach them to be able to have those conversations, lead the charge, show them that they don't think that they're doing it, but they need to be there with you. And just FYI, this is stuff that I've seen from personal experience, also watching what other managers do with successful bands and having conversations with them. Rodney, you've probably seen very similar things, but I've also find it fascinating when people talking about Fortune 500 companies talk about, or investors talk about what they invest in. It's always the founder, whether they're going to be the CEO or not, or stay the CEO. Like the founder of the tech CEO is no different from the artist, and they look for talent. And that talent can be the way that artist presents themselves, has conversations, the way they interact with their fans. You need, as a manager, you need to help them do that stuff, and you need to make it really clear that your job is to help them be the best that they can, not just take over roles. Otherwise, they should get a VA.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
We should have just done Q&A today.
I just love picking your brain, buddy.
I hope that was useful to some of you guys. Now, that does tie back in to where we're at, because look, and keep in mind as well, for you guys here who are on the industry side, you need to be thinking about set lists in terms of the content that your artists are putting out online. But in the Facebook group, having a bit of a set list, knowing that people are going to be doing different things at different points in the week, you really want to have a structured set list so that you know what to post. And I'll be giving a lot more lessons on there. Even that some of this I'm going to be skimming over. Know that if you do hop in the hub, I'm going to be teaching all of this over time, a lot more over the coming months. And so those lessons will be there in terms of how to automate a set list, lots of cool stuff. But right now you just need the concepts. Know that you must have a set list, know that you must give people stuff to do, and know that you must deploy empathy above all else. What that means is you must know what's going on for the people in the group, why they want to be there, why they're hanging out, reasons that they should stick around. You got to this is your research and development phase. This is you writing this stuff down and preparing a plan of attack. Number 3, adventure. We have to be taking our fans and our community members on a bit of a journey. This is a very important piece, because we're not here to push our work. We're not here to push just what we recorded last week. We're here to support others. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have more of a support group like me. I'm in fact working one-on-one with quite a few people at the moment, all different artists and one label collective, and they're all preparing to launch their Facebook groups. Know that only one of them has ended up being more in the area that I am, where they actually want to use a group as inspiration, as motivation, as networking, essentially as the conference room, curated. I consider my group like the curated conference room, like that room in Big Sound when you rock up. Except you can't bloody talk to anybody because you don't know what's going on in there. So mine's like the curated conference room like that, where everybody does know everybody. Most groups don't have to be like that. So the journey that someone goes on to get to that point is actually very important. And I will just say this is a great opportunity to get people onto your mailing list. Also a very important thing to do. Now you'll notice, if any of you have gone to musiclaunchhub.com, you will see that I'm literally saying, join my free community. Where do you want me to send your invite? Now, you could also go in the back doorway. You could hop inside Facebook and search for Music Launch Hub and find the group, because I keep it a closed group, not a public group and not a secret group. Closed group so people can find it, which makes the process simpler. But the downside is people can find it. Now, you could request access there, and while I try and keep it a subscriber community, I have decided that if somebody wants in, they get in, as long as they're a good person, which 99% of the time is true. So you could go there, but because you guys want more value from me, I'm sure, some more lessons and that sort of thing. And this is what I suggest you do in terms of usually promote. In fact, I never tell people that. I'm just telling you guys that because we're talking about it. But if anybody's ever like, how do I get in the group? I go musiclaunchhub.com, sign up, I'll send you your invite. That's very important, because we have to understand that we need to be curating this adventure that people are coming on with us on the first day, on the 30th day, on the 300th day. The experience that they get is very much decided by us ahead of time. Now, if you sign up, you'll see that there's a welcome video there, and I'm literally saying this is what the group is about. A little bit earlier, I talked about how I don't let promotions happen in my group. It's not the only thing that I don't let happen in the group, and it's also not really the main reason for the group existing. There's a core ethos, there's a core message, there's a core vision behind it, and I want to get that across in a video. So I really want somebody to sign up so that they can, before they go in the group, this is the hard thing about Facebook, is you can't make really tailored online experiences just in Facebook. And I also can't send out long form information explaining the story and what I'm trying to do here. And so When you sign up, you'll get a daily email from me for 3 days. You'll get a welcome video. And then when you get inside the group, you'll get another welcome video. And so by this point, we've actually had many different touch points together. What I say is a touch point is you've seen a bunch of different things that I've talked about. I've taken you on little micro steps, and I've got you to take little micro commitments. And so this is one of the key things to getting people to start to be invested in the group on day one. Is to get in there, you've literally put in an email address, you've probably watched the video explaining what it's about, you've clicked through, you've requested access, you've waited for me to come back and let you in. When you get in, you're going to see that there's a video there saying this is what the group's about. Please read the rules, because I'm a little bit strict on the rules for all of our benefit. And at this point, I've got you to do quite a lot of stuff. Knowing that if you get your audience to take a bunch of steps towards something and they're enjoying the process. Now, when I say I've got you to do a lot of things, I'm not there going like, I'm going to get you to do lots of stuff and then not get anything. I really want to make sure that when you get in there, you know what it's about, you know how to interact, you know how to get the most out of the group, because in there is like a new library. It's an encyclopedia of information. There's industry people from all over the world. There's artists who have been on the road for 30 years, and there's people who are just starting out. There's people that are in their 70s, and there's people who are 14, right? So there is literally a crazy breadth of experience, and all of it is useful. We can learn a lot from the younger person as we can from the older. So know that everything that I do in the beginning is to help you have a better experience in there. Know that if you decide to create a Facebook community, you should know what those micro steps are, know what those things are that you want people to take, knowing that each step helps them to know what is happening at the next place. Now, this is some core leadership lessons you could use. This is just the same. You could literally take what I've just talked about there and go, I wonder how I could use that in my next live show. And you could literally change what you do in your live performance and how the crowd interaction works, just based off what I've said there, because there are some actually really rock solid psychological principles and marketing principles that will mean you will create better connections with people by taking them on smaller little micro steps rather than just getting a whole bunch of stuff at once. It's a huge marketing lesson in itself. So craft each touch point. Make sure that you've got some videos happening as people are coming in. Make sure you use it as a reason for people to subscribe to your newsletter. If Facebook dies one day and all your audience goes, it's going to be for nothing. You don't want that to happen like happened on MySpace. You want to have another way for people to communicate with you, i.e. newsletter. And also, the money really is, even if people are saying it's not right now, the money is absolutely in the list. Your ability to crowdfund later, to do most things that you want to do can at the moment, maybe not forever, but at the moment be solved with email better than anything else. The only thing that is starting to look like it might top email, by the way, is Facebook Messenger. That's another story. Step number 4, we are wrapping up. Don't worry. The launch part is really important. Now, I want you to take some lessons here and think about it no matter what you're going to be working on, whether you want to be thinking about launching a Facebook group or not. I do highly recommend it for everybody. I think every artist just should have it. If just because most don't, you're going to stand out. It's the easiest premium experience. And here's the other thing that I didn't actually include in this. Facebook group, if you do it like I sort of taught there, where you're actually making people feel like it's quite a thing to sign up to, they're signing up to this kind of thing that is like a free premium experience, which is really, really important. Now that, if we're talking about trying to build lists online or get, like giving away a song is not interesting to people anymore. That's just something it's so commoditized now that like, hey, you downloaded my new single is like, yeah, or I could just listen to it on Spotify and not have it clog up my phone and not lose it, like, so I can listen to it more than once. I don't know about you guys, but if I download a song, it goes into my phone, I can never find it again. Like, it's actually a hassle. And so we should be thinking about creating free premium experiences, things that should be paid. So like this Facebook group, it should be $100 a month in my mind. That would be fair. And I know there's Facebook groups out there where people will pay far more than that to be a part of a group. Now, in the back of my mind is like, I'm in there working hard because I know that I want to deliver like it's $100 a month group, but it's free. And so you should be thinking, hey, maybe how can I create something that is free premium? That's really why I suggest a group is so powerful. Another side tip is that digital bundles are working well at the moment. And so multiple pieces of digital content around one story that creates a branded experience. For the managers in the room, take that and get creative with it. Now, launching. The reason why I created the Music Launch Hub is because all my friends were putting out their music, sending it out. They put it up on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. They would end up eventually getting around to getting it distributed via CD Baby. They'd play a launch show. They'd have the track come out on the same day. They would start sending you messages like 4 weeks in advance of the show on Facebook Messenger and send you another freaking message every other week saying you're coming to the show. And you'd rock up to the show and there's like 20 people there and you're like, oh God, I feel so bad for you right now. And your music is great. It's literally breaks my heart every time I see somebody just put their music up and go, it's out now. It's all good and well if you're Radiohead. You can delete your entire online presence, turn it back on a day and go, here's new music, and the entire world wets themselves. That's great. You're not Radiohead. And I dare say we'll be very lucky. There's going to be a point where it's going to be very rare where we see artists can do that still. But know that all these bands that do have the clout to be able to literally drop a song and have everybody go, whoa, it's here, they've earned that. And they earn that for the most part, maybe not all of them. For the most part, they earn that through years and years of work. They've had a lot of money spent on them. They've put in a lot of development. And some fascinating stories about some of the big pop stars, the amount of work that they put in from like being a young teenager, like being the first there in the room and the last to leave, and they practice daily. Now, certainly not saying that you're not putting in the work. I'm just saying there is a long path ahead for you, and it really is about the journey, not about the end destination. Now, that end destination in 20 years from now, where you can drop something and everybody's just going to go, whoa, you'll get that. You will absolutely earn that. Know that you still can't release like that every single time because people are going to get tired of it. We need to have a launch strategy, and that drop thing that just like came about out of nowhere, it's not manufactured out of nowhere. Labels know that they're just creating what's called a pattern interrupt. And so when everybody's used to like content coming out over and over and over again, they've gone, how do we do something totally different and shock people so that they pay attention? And lo and behold, they pull out some of their top tier artists and then go, it's literally like a reverse launch. I should do a whole topic just on dissecting that reverse launch methodology. But I just want you to know, I want you to really take home that if you don't have a plan to launch something, it's not going anywhere. And you need to launch, whether it's a Facebook group or your song, you need to be ready to launch. So just like anything we create and put out in the world, our ability to launch it will dictate what it achieves. And when I say launch, I literally mean a series of actions that you've calculated, that you've decided that will start to build some momentum. And so a simple launch plan, for example, might look like you deciding that you're going to put out 3 pieces of content a week over the next 4 weeks, starting to talk about what a Facebook community might look like. On the back end, maybe you're starting to reach out to some people that you think might be a good fit for it, and you're starting to go, hey, I've got this concept coming up where I'm sharing behind the scenes of what I'm working on. Wondering if you'd be interested in checking it out. Start seeing some personalized messages to people, go, all right, hey guys, we need to put out, hey band, we need to put out some really interesting content over the next couple of weeks. What can we put out that's going to show people what it's going to be, what it's going to look like to be inside the group? And so you might then start coming up with some different pieces of content, some song snippets. Maybe you do like a couple of little videos that you record in rehearsal, and you're going, hey team out there, we just wanted to do a quick little broadcast. Maybe you're doing a Facebook Live, right, on your Facebook page. We just want to do a quick little broadcast of our jam tonight, and know that our Facebook community of insert name, cool name that you've come up with because you've got a cool purpose, is launching in a couple of weeks. If you want the first invite, just head on over to our website and pop in your details. We'll send you first access. This is just a taste of what's to come. We need to be luring people into, we need to be doing that thing where we're literally painting a picture of what the experience is going to be like. Knowing that what I've just talked about there can also be used to promote just about anything you want to promote. Your launch strategy is vital, and it literally means you will commit right now, never again will I throw something out to deaf ears. And all a deaf ear is, this is how you work out your launch strategy in a really, really quick, easy manner. All a deaf ear is an ear that doesn't know you exist yet. And so how do we educate a deaf ear? We start showing it something that it might like. We start training that ear, literally start feeding it stuff. Now, we don't do it in an obnoxious way in terms, like, so the spam messenger messages, come to my show. That to me is like if an ear has, if like a, my ear has just been, this is ridiculous. If my ear has just been born and you're blasting Norwegian death metal in my face, I'm done for. I'm out of there. And we need to be showing people little tasters, showing them what the experience is going to be like. We're previewing the next thing. And that's what goes into a launch. And then obviously you need a launch event. So how to win with a launch? You need to have that preview content, and you need to have lead time. And you literally just need to have a clear goal and steps to get there. So you as a band, you as a team, you working with your artists, you go, all right, this is launch day. What are we going to do to build momentum? What can we do to get people excited? How can you tell your story more? This kind of stuff. And you must know what the centerpiece of that launch is. And so, for example, if it's a Facebook group, then you're probably almost definitely just going to have a Facebook Live on the day of launch, and it's going to be a launch event inside the Facebook group. If it's something else, then know that you need to have some sort of event. Often we use a launch show. We have a physical show in our hometown. We do the hometown launch. That's the classic one. Just know that anytime you launch something, you have to have an event like that, and it doesn't have to be a physical show. Launches are important. A clear goal and the steps to get there and what's vital. Now, here's the last little bit. I'll give you another 30 seconds, and we're going to do the last tiny piece of this. Well, not tiny piece, the most important piece of this. Now, that offer of a one-on-one digital strategy consultation for free, I usually charge, well, it changes. I'm very nice to my inner circle. I usually charge $300 for one of those, but my Music Launch Hub folks get it a lot cheaper. So I can't say it's just that all the time. Just know that it is free on the table if somebody gets this right, and it is one word. If you think back to the start, this is the most important. This is the reason, literally the thing that differentiates the person, usually the person or the people behind the group, that is most of a success. If somebody gets close, that I'm probably going to, we might give a free consultation away to the person who gets closest. One word. It is one word. This is the crucial part. This is the thing that they do, that they're all about, that changes everything. Are you ready for it? It's service. Now, there's been hints throughout this entire thing, actually, funnily enough, about this. What I was assuming that most people would be thinking is, the important piece of the puzzle is probably getting lots of people in there. And to be honest, I was tempted to make this last part growth. All right, we've launched it. How do we talk about growing it? Well, really, if we're going for a slow, long-term growth, there is one thing that will underpin absolutely everything, and that is how you serve the people that are in your community. Service is where it is at. Knowing that in a group, you are there to exist to help people thrive. You're not there because you need a bunch of people there to look at you and go, hey, you're awesome, although that's a byproduct. You're there because you need people to show up and hang out with you, and at some point probably tune into some of your music and buy it and come to your shows, and they will do that. But knowing that that's not the main thing that you're selling, you're there going, I'm here for you to have a great time. The easy step is to just go, all right, let's just get people in there. But without having enough substance on the back end of how you're going to serve people, then they're just going to leave or they're going to drop off. That's going to happen too, sure. But the important thing is, if you come from this from an angle of how do I create the most amazing experience for the people that I want surrounding my music and my career, then the group's going to start to grow itself, because other people will talk about it. Other people will start talking about it. People will start inviting other people. They'll go, you need to be in here. And because it's closed doors, even if somebody is, just getting invited by their friends and you decide to let them in, they're already going to be more engaged because they've literally gone to a place. They've gone into a place where they couldn't get in before. So they're already more engaged than any other social media network, any other social media channel, because they had to go through steps to get in. They had to get that invite to the community, to the place that is special, where cool stuff is happening. Now you get this part right, where you're there ready to show up and create that experience for people, and you'll be ahead of literally most, like this stuff, you see it working in the digital business space very well. And this is very fresh to music. So if you're out there actually doing, well, actually, when I say it's fresh in the digital space to music, but this has been happening since the beginning of music becoming, you look back into musical movements and you'll see that the artists that have built enormous careers, they have talent, but they're all about creating for other people and building that hype and momentum and that substance that makes people want to stick around. Knowing that these are very important pieces of the puzzle, they're only going to get more important because of the importance of you essentially connecting in a digital space with your community. I wonder, did anybody get service right? Did anybody get close?
No one even had a guess, mate. I think
Oh,
they were
no.
intimidated. Well, they didn't know how to
That's all right.
Maybe they didn't know how to use the chat box. We'll give them that.
That's all right. Maybe I will give this consultation away to somebody that wants it. Maybe they can message me after, and I promise I'm a much less intimidating person when we actually chat one-on-one. It will just be like a casual little chat. So if anybody wants it, you're most welcome to send me a message and say this is why you think it should be you.
Just to give us your email address then, Steve.
It's a good idea. That would help. Steve at musiclaunchhub.com. So
awesome.
Should be pretty easy. So yeah, musiclaunchhub.com is where you can join my community and learn everything. If you can literally see everything I've talked about play out before your eyes, it's a really good way. One of the best ways to learn about this stuff is just to see how somebody else has done it and then make it your own. To steal like an artist, as I've forgotten the author's name, as that say in that book. But yeah, Steve at musiclaunchhub.com is where you can reach me. Just hit me up with a message and say, hey, liked your talk, or thought it was shit house, whatever you like. Your talk was okay, or brilliant, whatever, and just let me know why you think it would be, why you would get a lot out of sitting down with me for 30 minutes, and I'll pick one of you guys to have a chat with.
Very, very generous,
right,
mate.
Action. My pleasure. And don't worry, team, this is the last little bit of the 5-Step fan community. I know it's a big topic, and I hope it's got a lot of the cogs turning. There should be a lot in your minds now to go away, walk away with, and go, how do I put this into a lot of things that I'm doing? The action steps on this last part. This Facebook group and or anything you're working on right now, knowing that the marketing strategy I've given you can be used for anything that you're doing at the moment, essentially. This is your brainchild, so you got to show up in that group. You got to be there every day. It doesn't have to be for long, but you can't just create it and then let it disappear. You got to be there, show up daily, You've got to be there to give without expectation of anything in return, because that's where the great stuff comes from. That's where you'll make a career. That's where you'll make your money, is giving without expectation of return. Too many artists out there going, oh, I need to make some money because Spotify isn't paying me enough. Enough of the woe is me. You've got to go out and give great stuff to people in order for them to come back and go, I totally understand why I've got to support you on Patreon right now. You've got to be in it for the journey, not the destination. This is about building a loyal tribe around what you do, so they show up, they consume what you've got, they're enjoying each other's company. This is not about you getting to 10 billion Facebook likes and touring the world. This is because you're in it for the ride. I'm going to skip this last little bit because I think we covered all of actually what this is, but I just want you to, really the thing that I want you to take away from all of this, to wrap this up, to tie it together, everything is about connection, especially in the digital space, and everything is becoming increasingly connected. Now, know that all of these 5 things will feed off each other. So if you go and launch a Facebook group and you just do the launch, it's not going to work. You go and do everything, but you don't have the purpose, it's not going to work. You go and do everything, but you don't put in the energy into the service, it's not going to work. Now, it probably feels like quite a bit of work at the moment because I've given you so much to work with. Know that if you even just went, I'm going to work on each of these 5 little pointers that I've given you, and you workshop them, you plan them out for each week over the next couple of weeks, 1 each week, you will end up with the perfect piece of the puzzle. And you're most welcome to email me and say, hey, this is what I've got. What should I do next? I'll happy to do some free advice in email.
Awesome stuff.
Just know that it does take work to create something brilliant. It takes work. This is no show up and this is how you superficially make your Facebook page great. This is how you make something that can literally be the centerpiece of your career. Know that all of those pieces are really important. Now, your next step, all you need to decide, and look, it doesn't have to be a Facebook group. I just want you to decide what your centerpiece is. That's my hope for you today. My hope really is that you'll see that community, building digital communities, a digital tribe, is the most important and most lucrative thing that you can do right now. Knowing that it can feed also the other channels where you can essentially make money without needing a label to invest stacks of cash into you that you'll eventually have to pay back anyway. It doesn't have, if it's not a Facebook group, it could be a YouTube channel. It could be, you're doing something really interesting on a Facebook page. Just know that you have to choose something as a centerpiece and send people there. And they have to have a great time there. If you don't do that, there is no pathway as an artist. You need to have a centerpiece. And you go and find me an artist that has, and even not just an artist, anybody that is launching a bit of a creative career in the past 5 years that doesn't have something of interest that is a real centerpiece online. Go and show me an example. Show me how they built their career. I'd love to see it. I'm sure there's going to be some, but for the most part, for the 99% of people out there who are launching a career now, they have to have a digital centerpiece. There has to be something. I'm suggesting a Facebook group is a great one for most people because it's one of the easiest to do, less pressure. You could do a YouTube channel. It could totally make sense. You could make Snapchat your centerpiece. You just need to have a reason why. Hopefully today you can see why Facebook group is a really powerful one. Couple that with an email list, you've got a dynamite combo. No matter what stage you're at, where you spend your promotional efforts, what your strengths are, what you love doing, what you wish would change about the world, we all need community. That's not going to change. At the beginning, when I sort of mentioned about this digital disruption that's happening, things are getting automated. We're already in a world where VR and AI is taking its chunk, and it's only going to get more and more. We're going to be living through the most interesting change in work that the world has ever seen. And you have the most important job in this world right now. It is to make great art for people and make them smile and give them something to believe in, to give them hope, to give them enjoyment, to give them experience. The only thing that connects that is a sense of community, a sense of sharing that with others. You hold on to that, you as an artist, and that human centerpiece, and you've got the missing link that will absolutely stay true no matter what happens in the digital space. But you have to have that centerpiece. Thank you for hanging out. If you're keen to join my what I would love to call a thriving tribe, hint, hint, this is it's called 5-Step Fan Community. Essentially what I want you to get the vibe of is, this is all part of Thriving Tribes, which is something I'm working on. It's going to be a little bit before I put out a more in-depth version of this, but right now you've got literally, as far as I can see, the most detailed and delivered fairly on time training on how to use Facebook groups and how to turn them into a community that's actually going to create value for your career, help you sustain your career, help you make money. Essentially, you're most welcome to come in and hang out with me. musiclaunchhub.com. Steal what I'm doing, reverse engineer it, see it. Well, when I say steal what I'm doing, don't go and like create another group the same, because I will find you. In all seriousness, I'd love to have you a part of it. And look, thanks for hanging out. I'm here, happy to answer any questions that you have about Facebook groups, digital marketing, anything like that. Even just what the hell did you talk about that last hour, Steve? Any of that stuff, it's all good. But thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate you. And if you do hop in the group, just know I'm like to get to know everybody. So I'd love to see you introduce yourself. And I'm here to support you every step of the way.
Well wrapped up, Steve, and great talk. And on that, I have to bring this up on that point of theft. There is quite a prominent music business course creator out there that did steal quite a bit of your stuff. That's just a little thing.
There is. There's some shady folks out there. Yeah. There is a very well-known guy in a different country who took an enormous when I say steal my stuff, I literally mean go and see what I'm doing and make it your own. Well, this guy actually took my words, words, pages, colors, even some of my guests. So yeah, don't do that.
No, don't do that. All right, let's throw to it. Look, we don't have a lot of time, but if anyone wants to ask Steve a quick question, I'll just tell you now. Sean, you've got your hand up. Rosemary, you've got your hand up. Marcos, you've got your hand up. And Katie, you've got your hand up. Awesome. If you don't want to ask a question, take your hand down. And look, they're all shy, but it looks like Marcos wants to ask you a question. Marcos, Marcos has just stuck his hand down as well. So, Steve, I think you've either covered everything. Actually, Dylan wants to ask a question, so I'm going to pop to Dylan. Let's do it. How you going, Dylan? Did you want to ask?
Mate, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, buddy. I'll hand you over to Steve.
How you going, dude?
How are you, mate?
Very good. Thanks for hanging out.
No worries. Just had a question. It's not much on the lecture. It's more about the end of the year. Just wondering if you'll be at Big Sound this year.
That's a good question. I actually saw the email today, and I'm like, I missed last year literally because I was preparing my summit, so I couldn't go last year. But yeah, I'm 90% sure I'll be there. I've gone most years for the last 4 or 5 years. I just missed last year. I think so. I'm so busy at the moment. Things really got a bit crazy from last year. So hopefully, but if you're going to be there, I would love to catch up with you. So just make sure you shoot me an email so we can at least chat before then. And if I'm there, then we'll definitely hang out.
Yeah, too easy. Sounds good.
Awesome. Do you have any questions aside from that?
Nah, that was it, man.
All right. Well, you make sure you hit me up and we'll catch up.
I certainly will. Cheers.
All right. Cheers, awesome. Dylan. See you, mate. Excellent then, Steve. Well, like I said, you've either got this really intimidating personality and everyone's scared of you. Rosemary, she's put her hand up. She's going to be brave.
All right, let's go
to you, Rosemary. It's good to hear women speak as well. Hello, Rosemary.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, fantastic. Hi. Thanks for all that information. I've been scribbling away all the time I've been listening. My question is, I work as manager and agent, and I do publicity for my artists as well.
Awesome.
I also work in a very niche genre because I work with African musicians. If I wanted to set up a Facebook group, would I set up a group and include all my artists, or would I be better setting a group for each artist?
I would suggest that's a slightly tricky one in that if you set up a group for each artist, you would definitely need to do it in conjunction with them. So you would need to help them see the future that you see. You would need to literally sell them on the concept and go, this is what we're going to build together, but they would need to control a good chunk of it, and you would need to guide them on the process. The reason I say that is because anybody who would want to hang out with an artist in a Facebook group, they want to hang out with the artist and who's into the artist. And so if it's going down that path, I wouldn't just set up Facebook groups for all of them thinking it's a great idea. Really comes down to the purpose and whether it fits that artist. So that would be, and I'm happy to have a chat with you later about this, just to see if that makes sense for them on a strategy level, because I think that's important. Now, for you though, there's potentially a very interesting thing that you could do here in that. Are all these artists, I assume, all in the same kind of niche? Are they all complementary?
Yeah, they're all African musicians. I have a page on Facebook already, and initially I was just going to use that for the artists that I specifically work with, but I decided to open it up and put up more stuff about what's happening with African arts and culture in the community and things like that, and keep my YouTube channel. Initially, I was just going to keep that for the artists that I work with as well, but I've decided to put another playlist on there where if I go out to a function and I'm able to film something, I can put that up as like, this is what's happening in the African music scene, because I want to grow, you know, the love of African music, because that will benefit all the artists as well.
Amazing, amazing. I reckon your big advantage is thinking about how to extend that into a group and create something a little behind closed doors experience. So what I would suggest you do from here is just spend all of your time on that first step, on the purpose, and think about the people who are engaging with these artists, what they're really after, what they're enjoying, what they want to experience. And I would be looking for answers in the notes that I take off that kind of reflection work on looking at the purpose and the concept that you can create that will essentially draw the sorts of people that would go to any one or all of these artists' shows, and think about what you could create where, you know, like just as an example, if you really pinpoint something that's missing in that kind of space that can only be created where more than a one-way conversation is necessary, then then it's a really good sign there's going to be an angle for a Facebook group there. And you know, then you can create it so once a month each of your artists comes and does a Facebook Live in there and does a little performance or something like that. So there's going to be little opportunities for them to cross promote to the group. But I think the aim would just be work on the purpose and the concept, and think about how you can almost like think of that as a set, you know, like if people are consuming all the content you're putting out on your channels, then now ask the question, what conversations would they love to have with each other if their conversation was happening in one place? And I say that off the back of the summit that I did last year. I really I wanted to make a point that, hey, you're going to watch these videos, and yes, you can comment underneath, and that's fine, but you're not going to get a great conversation. I want you to come inside the group and talk about what you just learned there. So knowing that conversation that they have in the group can also support what's happening on your other channels. But I really spend 99% of your time on the purpose. I think the angle is definitely what you build there.
Oh, great. Thank you. I was thinking it would be better to have one group based around my business name, and then put the artists that the special, like you said, the premium content, the behind the scenes content of all the artists in together.
Yeah, I reckon so. And you can make it this kind of beautiful little thing where it's sort of about the work you're doing, but it's totally never pointing at you. And so it's pointing at the artist, it's pointing at the things that you believe in, the things that you value and care about, and what you want to bring more attention to. which ultimately the people who are hanging out in there also feel the same way. You pinpoint that stuff, make it about that, get the bands doing their thing, and indirectly people are going to be like, wow, what you built here is amazing, but you'll never have to stand up and go, hey, I'm your leader, or anything weird like that. So I think it's perfect.
No, that's right. That's what I think as well, and that's what I do on my Facebook page. I never mention myself by personal name because it's not about me, it's about the artists and it's about the music.
Absolutely. And so that's perfect. And just consider that, so the main difference that you'll find here, if you do think about a Facebook group versus a page, and obviously you should keep your page going as a distribution channel, just know that because it's a group experience, obviously you can ask for an email opt-in because it's a private experience, so you can grow your email list with it. But also the sorts of conversations and stuff that you can get people to do. People jump out of their, and you'll see it in my group. If you hop in, you'll see people out openly going, hey, I'm here to have a chat, and they'll post away and do their thing. If you can inspire that kind of conversation, some really interesting stuff will happen for you, I think.
Oh, great. Thank you. And for the artists and for the whole African music scene, I hope.
Well, absolutely. That's it. That sounds like that's your mission, to bring to bring that into more people's worlds. And yeah, you get people talking about it. There's people in the world who have done a very good job of that, unfortunately, that I won't make mention, in other countries, who have just literally got people talking about one thing, and it's amazing what we see happen when people start talking about something that they're passionate about, knowing that we can do it in a very and everybody who's still here listening, please use everything I've given you today for good, because a lot of good can be done. But know that this is some really powerful stuff that incites movements globally since the beginning of time, and we can do some really beautiful things with it. So I think it's going to be great. Please keep me updated on what you want to do with it, and I'd love to help if I can.
Awesome, Rosemary.
Thank you again.
You're very welcome. And go and jump into Steve's launch hub.
I will.
Okay. Good
See you
night.
there.
Okay. Thanks again, Rosemary. And I think my good friend Katie's got a question. I'm going to unmute you,
All right,
Katie.
let's do it.
How you going, Katie? How are you, buddy?
All right, I can never work out whether it's the hands up or hands down thing. No, me. Thanks, guys. It's been, again, another really good webinar. So thank you to both of you. I just have a quick question, which is, do you think it's possible to rescue a Facebook page? Just quickly to explain, we did do a launch with, I'm a manager, and we did do a launch with one of our artists, and it was probably close on a year and a half ago now, but unfortunately didn't have anything that came quick enough to follow up with the video that came out. Everything got put on hold for one reason or another, and we're now at the stage where we're going to finally release the first EP, and just wanted to know what your advice would be with resurrecting a page that hasn't been used for a while. Is it possible?
Yes, 100% possible. Number one, give it time. Number two, it needs a strategy. That's the two most important things. So yeah, you absolutely can resurrect. Now, knowing that this is really interesting, know that you're not alone. A lot of what I'm doing here is off the back of doing that same. Actually, this is really funny. I've literally, because I'm so stretched thin at the moment, I stopped doing, and because I'm putting so much time into my Facebook group, I've stopped posting on other social media channels, knowing, and this is not the first time it's happened either, I've just had to drop them at different points, knowing that I've have other priorities. And I have previously picked them back up and resurrected them before. So I know personally it can work. But also there's just a couple of things that you need to make it happen. One, I'll say lead time is really important. So when you actually, can I just ask how soon were you thinking of dropping the EP?
Probably in about 3 weeks.
Okay. Is there anything that makes actually, and just before I continue, what sort of promotions have happened so far? Has there been anything yet?
No,
Okay.
nothing else. No.
Is there any reason why it has to be released in 3 weeks? Is there anything like pressing?
No, none.
Cool. Could you make it minimum of 3 months from now?
It could do, yeah. Why? What's your idea?
Your artist might hate it, but I can tell you what they will hate less is getting some people engaged. And so I see this over and over again. Believe me, you're not alone. This is like everyone I talk to does the same thing. See, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen if you drop it in 3 weeks. You'll probably put some posts out. You'll probably, honestly, you'll work a little bit on this strategy over this week. Then suddenly it's 2 weeks to go. You'll go, oh my gosh, we've got to get some stuff together. You'll prepare some content, and a week before you'll start putting some posts. You'll probably put them out every couple of days. You end up with 3 posts going out there. You might end up with some messages to press going, oh, can you talk about this thing? They'll go and look at the Facebook page, see that you've had 3 posts in a year. They'll see the level of interaction that's happening. So you won't be able to get any leverage of press or shows. The EP will go out, and then it's out, and then now it's old news. So you can't get press or do a launch show off the back of that. But you can go, oh, okay, so we can keep promoting online. So you keep promoting, and then you go, oh, we need more. It all starts being very reactive, right? I'm talking worst case scenario. I know you'd be smarter than doing it like what I explained, but this is what I see a lot. And we end up in this very reactive state, which is, remember earlier when I was sort of talking about that desperation that an artist feels when they see nothing working, and they start going, I've got to message all my friends. And so they start doing they're like, I've just got to get some eyeballs onto what I'm doing. And all of us are out there doing this, and it actually hurts everybody. It hurts every artist. One piece of my mission is to stop this accidental spamming, because it makes it harder for every other artist to then go and promote something, because people go, oh, you're just promoting that stuff again. I know what you guys are like, right? The alternate reality is where you drip content out over time. And so as one little example, because I probably don't have enough time for me to get a full understanding of the artist, etc. I was talking to someone the other day, and he had a similar thing. He was like, oh, I'm putting out my first single in a few weeks. What's your best advice? And I said, first up, can you make it further away? But his question was, well, what could you do to make the biggest impact in the shortest amount of time? And I was like, all right, you ready for it? And I literally said, you need some of the end goals. You need people to be hanging out with you somewhere online. So pick that. And I literally made him choose it on the spot. He's like, Twitter. I'm like, great. Okay. You know where you're meeting people. Excellent. He has a handle on it. He's using it. Excellent. You need somewhere to send people. And he's like, well, I want to send people to my music. I'm like, too soon. What can you create first? He's like, video. I'm like, great. Can you create 3 teaser videos that go out over the series of a couple of weeks, and then have some sort of launch event online, whether it's a live stream or maybe a final video that explains. And this is, mind you, actually, sorry, I got that one piece wrong. This is just going for a pre-order. So he's not actually dropping the single yet. That's what we end up deciding. This is going for a pre-order. So, which is an important piece of the puzzle. So one thing, if you do this now, you're going to miss out on a lot of sales, because your pre-order is your opportunity to get people in before you've actually even started doing the promotion. So it's your first opportunity to launch, and you're essentially milking this one record over time. And so to do this very quickly is hard to build momentum, because the artist needs to be out there making connections online. There needs to be content. There needs to be some videos, essentially, that are showcasing the story of why people should buy in to that record or to the artist themselves. And without that, it makes it very, very difficult to actually get anybody to pay attention. So yes, a Facebook page can be resurrected. Now, knowing that anything that gets picked up needs resources, and we've only got 3. We've got our time, we've got our energy, and we've got our money. And we can leverage one that we have more of, but we cannot. But if one gets depleted, it's done. It's over. You lose, and then your others start dropping. So you could say to me, "Hey, Steve, we don't have much time. We've got 3 weeks, but we've got $1,000 to spend on Facebook ads, and what should we do?" Then I would say, "Do you have some creative collateral up your sleeve?" And if it's yes, then great. Let's look at using Facebook ads to build that up. But the strategy needs to be there, because I will never, ever say to somebody, you should do this just to pick up hype, when you don't know what's coming back from it. When I say that, if that artist doesn't know, if you don't know that you can sell 20 copies of on pre-order before it's even out by spending $200 on your Facebook ads, and those 20 copies bring you back 400, then it's not a great marketing strategy. In which case, we then need to go, well, we need more time, and we need to put some energy into telling the story, into getting people to understand why they should care about the artist. All this stuff takes a lot of time, and there is a reason why the artist cycles exist, and major labels will take like a year to put stuff out. Traditionally, a lot of the time, is that they know it takes a lot of time to get people like engaged with something that's happening, and so all the energy needs to go into not necessarily like it doesn't have to be the biggest or craziest launch you've ever done. It doesn't have to do all the moving parts. You don't have to have 80 videos. You don't even have to have videos, although it does help. You just need you need to know where you're connecting with people, where you're bringing them to. You need to know where they're buying, and you also need to know what kind of story you're telling over what adventure you're taking people on over a period of time. And it's really hard to do in anything shorter than 90 days. Just for some insight, it's actually harder, in my opinion, to launch music than it is a digital program. And I literally a couple of days ago shelved a course that I've been putting together on this called Thriving Tribes. Here's some insight, because I didn't think I could launch it well enough in 90 days, knowing that that's all I have, because I've got to start work on other stuff. And so I've put it to the side for now, knowing that 90 days is like, if you can do it in 90 days, awesome. If that's a really short amount of time though to launch anything. And so small launches are good. Small launches are great. Feeding content is good, but I really, really think sitting down, having a chat and going, how can we build up audience for this? Because when's the next EP? If the next EP is 3 months after this one, then cool. Maybe just put it out. That's not as much of an issue then. But my guess is the next EP isn't probably 6 months away.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope I didn't
think of it, Katie.
No, that's great. Thanks, guys. Thank you. And just for the record, Rodney, I had actually put something into the box down the bottom. It doesn't seem to be working. It just keeps coming up in grey. So I don't know whether that's your end or my end. It could very well be my end, but yeah.
No, it
but
could be
thanks,
something.
guys. It's awesome.
Thanks for that, Katie. I appreciate that.
I really appreciate. I hope. I just have to say, just finally, I know that's some very real talk, but I couldn't walk away without giving it like that. Know that the opportunity is massive right now. Like, you've got an EP there that is awesome, and so I'll say the advantage right now is you should be sitting that artist down and just going, let's talk about this for as long as we can talk about it. This is your baby. Like, let's not just put it out and forget about it. Let's really milk this and try and get them excited about it, knowing that this is a really exciting time. But give it space, give it time. If you want to talk more in depth about strategy, I'd be more than happy to.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Hey.
Yeah, awesome. My pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, Katie. And I've just found the question box, so it was my fault. There's hundreds of questions in here. Can't ask a question, Katie Williams. Well, there you go. All right. Well, listen, guys, I want to thank you all for showing up. Steve, really massive thanks to you, mate. It was a really interesting lecture. Looking forward to going back and playing that one again. And yeah, mate, wish you, as always, the best of luck in the future. And again, guys, for everyone listening to this, you are doing yourself a disservice if you don't go out and check out Steve's private Facebook group. Or it's not private, it's what did you call it? It's a
closed, technically.
Closed group.
Yeah.
Go in the front door, give Steve your email address so he can communicate to you, because take it from me, he does send a lot of really great stuff. So thanks again, Steve. Really appreciate it, mate.
Thank you so much for having me. All the best with the rest of the summit. It's been such a privilege to be here, and to you guys, keep rocking. I am, whether you're in the hub or not, I am here for you. If you have questions about today and you didn't want to hop up on the hot seat, I totally get it. Send me an email, steve@musiclaunchhub.com. I'm happy to chat, to get to know you. Know that you are your biggest advantage. You put in the work and have fun doing it, you will win.
Awesome. Well, on that note, Steve, I'm going to wrap it up, because I've got an 8 o'clock. I've got an 8 o'clock session in the morning, so I got to get ready for that. So thanks again, guys. Hope to see some of you in my morning ones. If you want to go and check out what's going on in the summit, it's musicbusinessfacts.com/summit. You can go and check out my upcoming speakers and register for any of those. And again, Steve, I'll talk to you very, very soon, my friend. And everyone from me, this is good night and take care. See you later.
Catch you later.